It is Friday, April 18th, and some major developments have emerged on the political and national front, shaking up the landscape of American discourse. A new Democratic frontrunner has officially stepped into the spotlight, shifting the tone and direction of the party's future. According to the latest polling data, Democrats across the nation are overwhelmingly choosing someone who many find surprising, even frightening, to lead their party. We'll walk through all of that. Meanwhile, the U.S. federal government has finally confirmed the origin of the pandemic, a question that sparked countless debates for years. With this revelation, long-standing suspicions have now been validated. Wait until you see the details. In another groundbreaking move, Director of National Intelligence, DNI, Tulsi Gabbard has taken a bold step in favor of transparency. This morning, she released and declassified a significant tranche of files related to Robert F. Kennedy, opening a new chapter in American history and investigation. And that's not all. We'll also dive into how the Democrats are handling a controversial case involving Abrigo Garcia. Believe it or not, they're now planning to award this individual, who has a deeply troubling past, millions of dollars from taxpayer funds. It sounds unbelievable, but it's real. Before we get into the full breakdown, thank you for liking and sharing these updates. It helps the channel immensely. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss these essential stories. To begin, a new face is rising rapidly within the Democratic Party. Recent polling has identified Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, commonly known as AOC, as the most likely Democratic nominee for the 2028 presidential race. This isn't a narrow margin, it's a landslide. Nate Silver, founder of the data analytics site 538 and a highly respected political pollster, posted a detailed video explaining why AOC is the top contender. He highlighted her wide appeal across the party spectrum and pointed out how she's capturing the imagination of many within the base. According to him, AOC is the one to watch. Even Bernie Sanders has thrown his weight behind her, publicly praising her rise and her mission. In an emotional statement, Sanders recalled how just 6 years ago, AOC was working as a waitress. She recognized the injustice in her surroundings and decided to challenge a political heavyweight in New York City. Despite having little money or support, she managed to defeat one of the most powerful people in the House of Representatives, a political upset that redefined grassroots campaigning. This moment in Democratic politics reflects the growing strength of the progressive wing. Traditional centrism within the party appears to be fading fast, and time is running out for moderate alternatives to rise. Media outlets are already championing AOC, especially during her recent tour with Bernie Sanders, labeled the Stop Oligarchy Tour. Together, they've been traveling state by state, promoting a populist message that highlights systemic flaws in America. They argue that the nation is fundamentally broken, capitalism is inherently evil, and the government should provide extensive services like Medicare for all, including undocumented immigrants, and implement the Green New Deal. It's a radical shift that's drawing both applause and fierce criticism. Stephen Miller, speaking last night on Sean Hannity's show, weighed in on this new political reality. He predicted that AOC will indeed be the Democratic nominee in 2028 and warned that her prominence is proof of the party's complete radicalization. According to Miller, the Democrats are no longer the party of working Americans but have transformed into a far-left coalition advocating for open borders, excusing violence, and enabling left-wing extremism. He noted their dwindling approval ratings, citing polls showing support as low as 21%. If they continue down this path, fighting for the rights of gang-affiliated illegal immigrants instead of American citizens, Miller believes that number will only drop further. This leads us to the case of Abrigo Garcia. This man, reportedly affiliated with the notorious MS-13 gang, was recently deported back to El Salvador. Despite his criminal background, prominent Democrats have rallied behind him. Senator Chris Van Hollen, for instance, flew to El Salvador using taxpayer dollars to meet Garcia in person. Pictures surfaced showing Van Hollen sitting at a table with Garcia, a move that raised many eyebrows. It's baffling to many Americans why elected officials are investing so much energy in defending someone with a documented history of domestic abuse, gang affiliations, and human trafficking. Garcia's deportation had already been finalized by the courts, yet now certain Democratic leaders are working overtime to bring him back. This issue grows even more surreal when you consider that Senator Whitehouse of Rhode Island has proposed awarding Garcia millions in damages. The reasoning? That his deportation was allegedly a violation of court orders. The judge overseeing the case expressed outrage at how the government handled the situation, accusing lawyers of lying and endangering Garcia's life. As a result, the government faces a civil contempt sanction of $1 million per day until Garcia is returned to the U.S., with some of that money potentially going to the so-called victim. This situation is playing out just 3 days after tax day, when Americans have handed over their hard-earned income to the government. For many, the idea that their money might now fund a payout to a criminal deportee from another country is infuriating. President Trump addressed this in an Oval Office speech, listing the extensive charges against Garcia and highlighting how the media cut the live feed mid-speech. This, Trump claimed, is further evidence of the media's bias and their unwillingness to let the American people hear the full story. In the midst of all this, the Trump administration made another major move, one that changes the narrative around the COVID-19 pandemic. After years of speculation and pushback, the official COVID-19 government website was updated to reflect a stark truth: the virus most likely originated from a lab leak in China. This update includes previously classified documents and scientific findings that contradict the early narrative pushed by figures like Dr. Anthony Fauci. These newly released materials detail how the virus's characteristics are not naturally occurring and trace its likely origins back to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, just 7.5 miles from the wet market previously blamed. One particularly telling moment came 4 years ago to the day, when Dr. Fauci stood beside President Trump and openly disagreed with him, citing the now debunked proximal origin paper that claimed the virus came from nature. It later emerged that Fauci himself commissioned that paper. Now, in a full-circle moment, the website features a striking image of Trump with the words lab leak in bold behind him. It includes a timeline, scientific evidence, and even a photo of Fauci receiving a full pardon from President Biden. The move has reignited questions about how much the public was misled and whether media and government officials will ever be held accountable for spreading falsehoods. On top of all this, DNI Tulsi Gabbard made headlines again with a bombshell release. She declassified and published over 10,000 previously hidden documents related to the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy. Tulsi emphasized that this was only the beginning, with an additional 50,000 documents still to be reviewed for sensitive personal information before full release. The files available now, though not containing a single smoking gun, raise several critical questions about the official story. Evidence suggests the possible involvement of multiple shooters and various embassies, including those in Kuwait, London, Tel Aviv, and others, were flagged in early communications surrounding the assassination. Tulsi, speaking about the release, stated that while the documents don't definitively answer every question, they open the door to greater understanding and scrutiny. RFK Jr. himself, when asked whether he wanted to preview the files before they were published, said simply, "You have to get it all out there." This moment represents a historic shift toward transparency and public access. The National Archives showcased several notable items tied to past assassinations, including Lee Harvey Oswald's passport and shirt from the day of JFK's assassination. There's even the heavy reel containing the famous Zapruder film. These artifacts, once locked away, are now being digitized so any citizen can access them with a click. The implications of these events, whether it's the rise of AOC, the Garcia controversy, the lab leak confirmation, or the RFK file release, are enormous. For years, many Americans have felt in the dark about how decisions are made and truths are concealed. With this new push for clarity and accountability, we may be entering a new era. The head of America's intelligence community has now officially stated that what we once believed about RFK's assassination is likely incomplete or outright false. The government is finally acknowledging truths it once denied, and the consequences are still unfolding. That's all for this update. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more essential stories only here on Globe Pulse.